here today. We are proud to welcome you, and we're proud that you're here, and we'd like to share some information about the opening of this major construction for hospital-based services here at Pine Rest. The initial project is this addition of a new unit as part of the Van Andel Center, followed by the creation of the Van Andel Cook Center for older adults and the refurbishing of Mulder West unit. We're adding to the hospital today at Pine Rest, and for many of you, you may not be quite aware of what hospital-based services is like today. What happens in a psychiatric hospital today in 2012? Well, hospital today is for people in acute crisis. These are individuals who are in significant danger to themselves or other people, or just not able to function at all, so that they will become a danger. And so these are individuals in really bad shape. I think most of the people here would say that they are in one of the most painful moments of their life. So that what we see behind us in this frame, many prayers of lament and despair will be spoken in this building as people are really at a desperate spot. And so in many ways, this will be sacred space. What's encouraging, though, is that this kind of space, this kind of building, is enormously effective for reducing loss of life, increasing safety, and also reviving hope in people. Facilities today, psychiatric facilities such as this, inpatient units, are highly focused on safety, as you'll hear about in just a moment, really helping people through their short-term crisis, instilling hope in a period of about 7 to 14 days. It's interesting to me that almost exactly 100 years ago, within a few weeks, the first 6 patients arrived at Pine Rest in the Cutler farmhouse across the street that many of you passed when you came onto the campus today. A very different kind of care at the time. No medications, no psychotherapies. It was really what we might think of as occupational therapy today. Very structured. The resident patients worked on the farm, went through a routine, and it turns out that the early performance improvement information that we have at the time shows that it was really very effective for many people. And best of all, the cost was $7 a week at the time. So how did we get here today with a new building in large space 100 years ago? How did we get to a farmhouse in Cutlerville to a facility like this? And I think we've gotten there by really maintaining a focus, sort of a North Star that's helped guide us in the last 100 years, when many other organizations have really not been able to survive. Really focusing on what is the best possible sustainable care in our community for those who are in acute crisis. Using that question to guide our decisions. And I think in addition to that, 3 principles I think we could see as a consistent theme over time, and this really goes for any healthcare organizations. But one of the principles I think we see today is that we have a staff that's motivated by mission, desiring to care for people, mind, body, and spirit. Staff who come to work and see their job as a calling, see their job as flowing from the deepest part of them and wanting to make a difference in the world. Many of them following in their day-to-day steps, following Christ's command to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, with all your mind, and your neighbors yourself. Having that dedicated staff, many of whom are here today. I think the other principle that has served us well is the willingness to adapt to changes in healthcare. When I came here about 20 years ago, Pine Rest was in a contraction mode. Length of stay was going from 45 days to 7 days. And I remember walking around on some of the units that were completely empty. Storage units that had once been filled with patients, even a couple of months before, now completely empty. Those units today are filled because of leadership 20 years ago that were willing to say we need to adapt, we need to change, we need to stay focused on providing great care to the community. rather than clinging to old models that really were not sustainable. And finally, I think what's sustained us well is creating great partnerships in many different senses. Working with payers, being able to sit down in our kind of unique collaborative culture in West Michigan, where we can sit down with payers and say, what's best for your members, what's best for the patients that we serve, and really coming to some great creative solutions. Working collaboratively with other healthcare providers, the therapists that send patients here, other healthcare providers in the community, other members of the healthcare system, really being willing to be part of a network of care providers throughout West Michigan and Michigan in general. Being part of collaboration with churches, recognizing that an inpatient stay here we're really a small part of a person's story. We have a moment where we touch a person's life, but really a church will sustain a family, an individual from cradle to grave, recognizing that we need to be in collaboration. And finally, collaboration, a unique partnership, an extremely important partnership that Pinecrest has with St. Mary's Healthcare. Thank you, Phil, for being here today through the joint operating agreement. Really two organizations that have consistently over the past decade and a half or so been willing to set aside their own short-term interests at times and look at what's best for the community. How can we build something of great value for the community that will serve us well? So partnerships with contractors, partnerships with designers, I think that's what's made this successful. So thank you for your partnership, whether you're a builder, healthcare provider, staff member, payer. We can't do this without you. And we pledge that we'll strive to provide the finest behavioral healthcare experience available anywhere.